Welcome to this English listening story. Today's story is about a town that lived under the sky but forgot the stars. It's a story about light and darkness, about memory and rediscovery. Let's begin. The Town Without Stars. There was once a town called Varelia. It was a quiet town, far from the big cities, surrounded by mountains and lakes. Years ago, Varelia was famous for its night sky. People came from everywhere to look up. You could see every star. You could lie in the grass, close your eyes, open them again, and find new constellations. Children made wishes. Couples danced under the moon. Old men told stories about the stars. But that was a long time ago. Now things had changed. The mayor built big factories. Tall buildings with bright lights. Shiny signs that blinked all night. Street lamps that stayed on, even at noon. Varelia became busy. Shops opened late. Noise filled the streets. People walked faster. And the stars? They disappeared. No one noticed at first. Too busy. Too tired. Too connected to screens. The sky still had a moon. Sometimes. But the stars were gone. One day, a boy named Luca asked his teacher, "Where do stars go during the night?" The teacher smiled politely and said, "Oh, they're still there, of course. Just hard to see." But Luca wasn't satisfied. That night, he went outside. He looked up. Only clouds. Only gray. He asked his mother, "Did you see stars when you were young?" She looked surprised. Then a little sad. "Yes," she whispered. "They were everywhere." Luca asked, "Where did they go?" She didn't answer. Luca was 10. He liked quiet things. Books. Sketches. Listening to birds. He didn't like noise, fast cars, or blinking lights. One day, he visited the town library. He found an old book, dusty, forgotten, no barcode. It was called The Map of Light. Inside were drawings of stars, strange patterns, notes in faded ink. At the bottom of the last page it said, "If you can't see the stars, maybe the stars are waiting for you." Luca was fascinated. He asked the librarian, Ms. Ora, "Where did this come from?" She looked at the cover and smiled. "Ah, that belonged to the old watchmaker, Mr. Thorne. He loved stars." "Where is he now?" "No one knows," she said. "He left many years ago." Luca kept reading. He learned names: Orion, Cassiopeia, Draco, Lyra. He saw maps, real ones, old ones drawn by hand. Each map had a path. Each path led to the same place, Starfall Hill. It was just outside town. No one went there anymore. Luca decided to go. He packed a small bag. Flashlight, sandwich, notebook, compass. He told his mother he was going to the park. Instead, he walked beyond the shops, past the factories, over the bridge, up the long, forgotten road. At the top of Starfall Hill, there was nothing. No lights. No noise. Only wind. He sat on the grass and waited. Nothing happened. He opened his book and whispered the names of stars. Vega, Altair, Deneb. Still nothing. Then, slowly, he turned off his flashlight. His eyes adjusted. And there, just barely, a single star. Then another. Then 10. Then hundreds. Faint. Like old dreams. But they were there. Luca's heart raced. He wrote in his notebook, "The stars are hiding, but they're not gone." He stayed for an hour. He felt something strange, like time had stopped, like the world was breathing again. The next day he returned. And the next. Each time more stars. Each time he wrote more. Soon he brought his friend Mia. Then 2 other classmates. They sat together, quiet, looking up. One day Mia asked, Why don't we see them in town? Luca said, too much light. Too much noise. Can we bring them back? I don't know. But maybe we can help others see. They started a club, the Sky Watchers. At first, it was just 5 kids. Then 10. Then 20. They met once a week on Starfall Hill. No phones. No flashlights. Only stars. They shared stories, drew constellations, made quiet wishes. Some parents joined. One mother said, I forgot stars even existed. A teacher said, this is the most peace I've felt in years. One day, Luca brought a small telescope. He showed Mia the rings of Saturn. She gasped, it's beautiful. He smiled. It's always been there. But not everyone liked what they were doing. Some adults said, what's the point? Others said, we don't have time for stars. A councilman said, it's unsafe up there. The mayor called it a distraction. He said, we are a modern town, not a village of dreamers. But people kept coming. Every week. Soon, the mayor passed a rule. No gatherings after dark outside city zones. Starfall Hill was now off limits. Luca was angry. So were the Sky Watchers. But they had an idea. They started sending letters. Hundreds. To the mayor. To the newspapers. To scientists. To storytellers. Some letters said, the stars help us dream. We are forgetting something important. Give us back our night. And one letter, written by Luca, went viral online. It said, Dear world, our town forgot the stars. But I saw them. They're waiting. Please help us remember. The letter was shared thousands of times. People started asking, where is Virilia? Can we go? Can we help? The mayor was overwhelmed. Reporters came. Visitors arrived. And one evening something happened. A power outage. All lights went out for 2 hours. People panicked at first. Then someone looked up and shouted, look, the sky was full. Full of stars. Thousands. Old ones. Bright ones. Moving ones. People stood in the streets. Crying. Laughing. Hugging. Even the mayor stood still. A child whispered, Are they back? Her grandmother said, They never left. That night, the mayor met with Luca and the Sky Watchers. He said, I was wrong. He promised to change things. Dimmer street lights. Quiet zones. A public stargazing park. A statue on Starfall Hill. Luca smiled, but he said, It's not about statues. It's about seeing what was always there. The mayor nodded. Then help us remember. And so Virilia changed. Not fast. Not perfectly. But slowly, the stars returned. And so did something else, wonder. People walked slower. Talked softer. Sat together in silence. And on clear nights, the sky told its stories again. End of part 1. Previously in the town of Virilia, a young boy named Luca discovered the stars again, high on Starfall Hill. He and the Sky Watchers inspired their town to look up once more. Now the town is changing, and so are the people. Let's continue the story. The town that looked up. After the night of the blackout, everything felt different. People walked with their heads a little higher. Children asked more questions. The sound of rushing was replaced by the sound of wondering. Even the mayor changed. He met with a group of scientists and said, How can we keep the stars visible? The scientists explained, Turn off unnecessary lights. Use soft, downward lamps. Plant trees that block glare. Protect dark skies like you protect rivers. So the town began. Street lights were changed. Shops dimmed their signs after 9 p.m. Schools added stargazing lessons. A new park opened, named Whispering Skies. The first night it opened, hundreds came. Blankets, telescopes, stories. Luca stood beside Mia, now taller, braver. They looked up, and the stars greeted them like old friends. One evening, a woman named Mira arrived in town. She wore a wide hat, carried a telescope, and spoke softly. She visited the library and asked for the map of light. Ms. Ora smiled. "You're not the first." Mira nodded. "I've heard stories." She met Luca and said, "I used to be an astronomer. I stopped looking up for many years. Your story brought me back." Luca smiled. "Then welcome back." Mira stayed. She became a mentor to the sky watchers. She taught them how to read the sky, not just with eyes, but with memory. "Stars," she said, "are the past, shining into now." Luca wrote a book. It was called We Forgot the Stars, part story, part guide, part dream. He didn't want to sell it. He shared it for free, printed copies with help from neighbors. People sent letters back. From Brazil. From Kenya. From Japan. One letter said, "Your story reminded me of my grandfather. He used to take me to the mountains to see the sky. I'm going back this weekend." Another said, "I cried when I read it. Thank you for reminding me to pause." As the months passed, other towns followed Virelia's example. Dark sky zones became popular. Some cities held star nights, where lights went off for an hour. Even companies joined in, offering time for employees to go outside and look up. Luca was invited to speak at a conference. He was nervous. He had never been on a plane, never worn a tie, never spoken to so many adults. But when he stood on the stage, he simply said, "The stars were always there. We just forgot how to see them." The room went silent. Then, a standing ovation. Back in Virelia, a small problem appeared. Too many visitors. Tourists arrived every week. Some were quiet, but others brought loud music, phones, lights. The stars began to hide again. Luca and Mia held a town meeting. They said, "We don't want to sell the stars. We want to share them." The mayor asked, "How do we balance both?" Ms. Ora stood up. "We teach," she said. So, the town started offering star etiquette classes. Before visiting the hill, guests learned how to keep lights low, how to stay quiet, how to listen to the sky. Visitors began to understand. Some even cried when they saw their first true night sky. One night, Luca had a dream. He was on a hill older now. The stars were bright. Beside him stood a child. "His child?" She asked, "Why do the stars shine?" He answered, "Because we need them to." He woke up and wrote that line in his notebook. Then he added, "We are made of stars. And sometimes we need to remember that." Mira helped build a small observatory on the edge of town. It was simple. One room, one telescope, one big sky. Children visited during the day to learn. At night, they returned with their parents. Some stayed for hours. A girl named Sophia said, "I want to be a sky doctor." People laughed kindly. Mira said, "You already are." That winter, snow came early. The stars seemed closer in the cold. One evening, a stranger appeared at the edge of town. He was old, with silver hair and a walking stick. He looked around and smiled. He said, "I remember this place." Ms. Ora gasped. "Mr. Thorne?" The old man nodded. "It's been a long time." The children gathered around. Luca stepped forward. "You're the watchmaker?" "Yes," he said. "But I stopped making clocks. I started watching time instead." He held up a small wooden object, a compass. "But this brought me back." He looked at Luca. "You wrote the letter." Luca nodded. "You reminded me," Thorne said. So I came home. Mr. Thorne stayed for a month. He told stories. He showed children how to build sundials. He gave Mira his old telescope. He even helped repair the broken church bell, so it rang once again at dusk. One night, he sat on Starfall Hill and whispered, "When I left, the sky was empty. Now it's full again, and so is my heart." But not all stories stay bright forever. One evening, a new mayor was elected. He was younger, ambitious, full of ideas. He said, "Tourism is growing. We must modernize." He proposed building a hotel near the hill, a large, glass structure with a rooftop bar. Many people disagreed. Luca spoke at the council. "If we fill the hill with lights, we'll lose what we found." But the new mayor replied, "The stars will survive, but we need to shine too." The town was divided. Some said, "It will bring jobs." Others said, "It will bring noise." The vote was close, and in the end, the hotel was approved. Construction began. Machines climbed the hill. Lights were installed. Noise returned. Luca was devastated. He sat alone one night, trying to find the stars. But the sky was blurry again. Mira sat beside him. She said, "Even in noise, we can remember silence." He said, "We were doing so well." She nodded. "Change is not a straight path." Then she added, "Maybe it's time to take the sky somewhere else." Luca looked at her. "You mean to leave?" "Maybe not forever," she said. "But if people won't come to the stars, we bring the stars to them." And that is where a new idea was born. Previously, in the town of Aurelia, the Sky Watchers revived the night sky. But change came again. A hotel on Starfall Hill. The stars faded. The people were divided. Now Luca and Mira begin something new. The light we carry. Luca didn't sleep much that week. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw stars fading. So he made a decision. If Aurelia couldn't protect the sky, maybe it could inspire others. He met with Mira, Ms. Aura, and Mr. Thorne. They formed a new idea. The Star Caravan. A traveling van, filled with telescopes, maps, stories, silence. They would visit towns, cities, villages, bringing the stars to those who had forgotten. Mr. Thorne said, "If light hides the sky, then let us remind people it's still there." They built the van together, painted it deep blue, covered it in tiny white dots, named it the Silent Sky. Inside, a telescope that could project stars on walls, books with blank pages to write dreams, a chest of memories, old letters, poems, sky maps, and a chair that hummed like wind in the trees. On the side, they wrote, "You are made of stars. Come remember." Their first stop was a nearby town called Emberlow. Busy, loud, no stars for years. They parked in a quiet square, opened the doors, waited. At first, people walked past. Then a child peeked inside. "Is this a magic truck?" he asked. Luca smiled. "Kind of. Want to see?" The boy entered. He looked through the telescope and gasped. "I see rings." Mira said, "That's Saturn." Soon, a crowd formed. People whispered, listened, cried. That night, they turned off the lights in the square. Stars peeked through, and someone said, "I forgot the sky could look like that." The Star Caravan traveled for months. Everywhere they went, people remembered. In some towns, they planted star gardens, places to sit and look up. In cities, they gave away night pause kits. A candle, a notebook, a card that said, "Tonight, look up." Luca kept a journal. He wrote, "Some people cry after one star. Some don't speak at all. Some laugh. But everyone feels something. Back in Varelia, things changed too. The hotel opened. It was big,
Modern. Bright.
but not full. Guests complained about noise. The hill felt empty. And soon, the owners decided to close it one day a week to protect the stars. That night, the stars returned, just for a few hours. It was enough. People called it the breathing night. And they loved it. One evening, the caravan returned home. The sky watchers were waiting. Mia hugged Luca tightly. She had news. "I'm leaving," she said. "I got a scholarship to study astronomy." Luca's eyes watered. "You'll find new stars." She smiled. "And send them back." They promised to write. Mr. Thorne passed away that winter. He left a note. "The stars outlived me.
Good.
I go where they go." He was buried under a tree on Starfall Hill, and beside him a small sundial with his name. Years passed. The world kept turning. New children were born. The caravan grew, more vans, more dreamers. Varelia was called the town that remembered. Once a year, on the day of the blackout, lights went off for 2 hours. The stars came out, and people came home just to see. Luca grew older. He became a teacher. He told stories of a time when the stars were forgotten. His students listened, wide-eyed. One asked, "Will we ever lose them again?" He smiled. "Only if we forget." Then he handed out small cards. Each one said, "The stars are not gone. They are waiting
For you."
And one quiet night, Luca stood on Starfall Hill again. The sky was clear, the wind soft. He whispered, "Thank you." And above him, the stars blinked back. End of story.